The second proposed amendment that I'd like for you to consider regards Section 7.2 of the initiatives. And that is what I'm attempting to do with that is to, again, clarify the original language in the charter that has been interpreted very recently in a way that I know was not the intent of the people who drafted the charter, because I drafted the charter. And so the clarification is to really make sure that there's a two-step process when somebody files an initiative. And let me back up just by saying I think one of the most damaging things we see in our government is when, if you think about the statewide initiatives, it's when someone sponsors an initiative, goes out and collects signatures, it gets on the ballot, voters approve it, then it's taken to court, and the judge says that initiative is unconstitutional. And voters, I think, are, well, I know voters are very disillusioned with their government when that happens. So the intent of the original charter, and then clarified in this proposed amendment, is to prevent that. Because as I'm sure you know, there are very clear limits on what local initiatives can do, much more limited than what state initiatives can do. They're limited, local initiatives are limited by the Constitution, state law, and court rulings. So it's, again, this original language was an attempt, or was the goal, to say, if you're presenting an initiative here locally that does one of these, I think, 6 things that are defined as clearly outside of what a local initiative can do, then that initiative is not going to be presented to voters for their consideration. And then beyond those 6 elements that are very clearly outside of the scope of what local initiatives can do, there's an undefinable number of other elements that local initiatives cannot affect. Local initiative could not say, we want to merge Clark County with Cowlitz County. That's not possible through a local initiative. But it's not one of the 6 elements described in the charter. So this sets up a two-step process in that regard of what elements, what initiatives can go forward to voters and what initiatives cannot go forward to voters. So if it's one of those 6 elements that have been clearly defined by the Constitution, state law, court decisions, the initiative does not go forward. Now, a sponsor could change the initiative and refile it, and that's certainly an option. And then, if it does pass that first step, the prosecuting attorney has a responsibility to look at the initiative and say, yeah, this is within our opinion, is within the scope of what local initiatives can affect, it's outside of the scope of what local initiatives can affect, or we have no opinion. And I have, of recent, come to a better understanding of why no opinion would be often the right response. Secondly, the first question, often the first question that lawmakers have when they're seeing a proposed law, if you're in Olympia, someone gives you a bill to sponsor, first question you might ask is, how much is this going to cost? How much is it going to cost to implement it? How much is it going to cost afterwards? In the existing charter, there was some poorly drafted language, guilty, regarding increased revenues. It's in conflict with the limitations. So deleted that section and instead put a new requirement, sorry, Budget Office, that if the local initiative proposal has a financial impact, and only if it has that financial impact determined by the Budget Office, then the Budget Office will provide an estimate of what it costs to implement the initiative and then to fund that on an ongoing basis. So those are the 2 really substantive changes that I'm proposing. There's a couple other cleanup stuff, but those are the big things.